HQ presented by Navy Federal Credit Union. Here's how the bracket looks going into the college football playoff, which is just over a week away. The first game is Friday, a week from Friday. Yeah.
This is going to be my joy.
What?
For all of the rest of the year.
It's going to take you through, yeah. I
this
agree.
is going to make me happy.
Awesome.
Not family time, this.
Especially, yes, same. I think everybody feels that way, right? The first round games are on campus, and then we go to neutral site bowl game in the quarterfinals. So this thing could change as soon as, I don't know, a year or two from now. A lot of people are demanding change already because, you know, Boise and Arizona State are getting buys. We've got Chip Patterson and Dnny Kanell from the Cover 3 podcast. I'd like to know, when projecting this thing forward, what should it look like? What changes would you make, Chip?
I would eliminate the buys. I especially would take it into consideration where our bracket looks more like the final rankings. Number one, I think that'll be less confusing for fans that are trying to follow the process along, because while I would also get rid of the Tuesday night rankings release, everything we've heard from the college football playoff says they love all the conversation that goes around that. So we're probably not losing it, but let's make this more representative of the rankings. And I think that we can look at the NCAA tournament as a great model here, because the NCAA tournament, like the college football playoff, does have automatic bids. But being admitted to the tournament does not guarantee a certain placement. So when we do have those upset or those bid thieves in a major conference, where do they often land? Around the 11 seed, around the 10 seed, the 12 seed, places that are appropriate based on the rest of the field. And so I think that the big case that stands out to me is the fact that Arizona State and Clemson are very, very close in the committee's final rankings, yet Arizona State gets a bye, Clemson gets the 12 seed, and they're playing on the road at the highest ranked non-champion. Those kind of discrepancies are just part of the reason why I think we need to eliminate the buys. You can get an automatic bid into the college football playoff. I'm fine with that, but they need to be ranked closer to the rankings when it comes to the seeding.
All right, you want to fix this thing? Like, we need to just blow it up in its entirety and start over. And you mentioned the NCAA tournament, which I did think was interesting, Chip, because you went to the sport of basketball. Why don't we stay in the sport of football and look at the FCS, who has a 24-team playoff that I think has worked perfectly for the last decade and determines a national champion that's pretty fair and equitable. Everybody gets a chance. 10 automatic qualifiers. Oh, look at that. We have 10 conferences. I know it's 9. But for this conversation, we'll make it 10 automatic qualifiers for the conference champions. We have 14 bids. Those are going by ranking. Then the top 8 are seeded by a committee to see who gets the first round bye. Guess what that leaves over? 16 teams left over to start playing a true play-in tournament where it's single elimination. Then everything else is also determined by geographic location. They try to make sure teams don't have to travel too far so it doesn't put much stress on the fan base. Like, if we really wanted to fix this, we would start from scratch. All that being said, I kind of like your idea. I think you're onto something.
Biggest thing I would do is have more on-campus games. Fewer neutral site bowl games.
Yeah,
FCS. Like, why are y'all complaining already?
I was supposed to read a sponsor right there. You realize
can
that,
still
right?
read it.
Mission Success, brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Bill Belichick, self-proclaimed Navy man. His dad, legendary coach there. So let's use that as a jumping off point. Dnny, I'll let you start here. What does success look like for Bill Belichick at North Carolina?
I don't know if it's going to come in year one, right? I mean, Deion has been clearly a success at Colorado, but it sure didn't look that way after year one, being 4-8. But we saw the enthusiasm, the ticket sales, the ratings bump. I think that will come. But eventually in year two, because he's older, he doesn't have that much time, you need to be competing for ACC championships, which would put you in the playoffs. It brings you an opportunity to bring a national champion. That's it. Mac Brown had you right below that tier at 8 or 9 wins every season, where you were competitive in the ACC. It wasn't embarrassing. You were always a bowl team. But if you go spend $10 million, a year on Bill Belichick, you bring into town one of the greatest coaches in the history of the game, you give them the resources to go out there and buy a roster. The expectation should be conference championships and national championships. That's it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I'll just go ahead and say success is an ACC championship, because it has been 44 years since North Carolina has won an ACC championship. And that 1980 title was an ACC that looked very different than the one we have now. Certainly before Dnny Seminoles came in and ran off a whole bunch of wins in a row and won a bunch of ACC titles in a row. And so internally at North Carolina, there has just not been self-belief that you can win ACC championships. Yeah, sure, you've got your basketball banners, you've got national championships in many other of your 28 varsity sports. But if Bill Belichick can win an ACC championship, and as Dnny mentioned, get into the college football playoff, have a seat at the table when we are competing for a national championship, then what North Carolina will have is some evidence that the investment was worth it. Because anything short of that is going to ruin the belief that is being put on the line right now that North Carolina can win at a high level in football, because they haven't done it in the modern era. They are investing like teams that win big. So for him to make it worth it, he's got to win an ACC title.
That's Chip Patterson, North Carolina grad, along with Dnny Kanell, FSU grad. A little ACC rivalry between you guys, North Carolina and FSU, with North Carolina's win total rising from 6.5 to 7.5 after the Bill Belichick hiring. Cover 3 podcast with Chip, Dnny, and many more.
What?
What were you trying to barge in with?
Nothing, but I'm going to do something that's going to make you so uncomfortable. So I've been gone all college football.
What are you doing?
Are you so excited that I'm back? He loves hugs. He loves hugs. We're back.